Hello and welcome to the Introduction into Biology. This video serves two purposes. The first one is to explain what biology actually means and the 8 characteristics of biology or life. So let's start off with the meaning of biology. So biology is actually a Latin-based word, as is a lot of different things in the real world. Chemistry, medical world, and actually everyday words. Um, the prefix bio means life, and the ending logi means the study of. So you put it together and you get the study of life. This is what biology is: the study of living organisms, animals, humans, tiny microscopic organisms, all of that good stuff. So there's 8 characteristics of life that determines, what makes a thing living. All of these characteristics are present in any living animal, organism, person, you name it. So the first characteristic is all living things must have cells. They are all made up of cells. So if you look on your arm, if you look anywhere, you have cells. Your whole entire body is made up of cells. Are made of cells. And that's very important to remember because cells are the smallest unit of life. There are two different types of cells or organisms. There's a multicellular organism. And a multicellular organism is an animal, a butterfly, humans, whales, you name anything that you can see, that you can name, that is a multicellular organism. Another one is a unicellular organism. A unicellular organism is the microscopic organisms that are made of one cell. Uni means one, cellular means containing a cell. So there's only one cell in this particular organism. You're going to find that in bacteria, small living organisms that you can only see under a microscope. The second characteristic of a living organism is they must be able to reproduce. And this means that you must have a male and a female to produce a baby because that is how life continues. Now there are two different types, again, with the multicellular and unicellular. With animals, humans, there must be two, a male and a female. And unicellular, there can only be one. That's called asexual reproduction. And asexual reproduction is basically the only cell reproduces itself. So it clones itself, basically. And why this is important is the asexual reproduction is literally the same exact thing as the parent cell. In multicellular organisms, there's two cells, so you get half and half of the genetics that each of the mom and father share. The third characteristic of life is they have to have a genetic code, meaning they have to have DNA. Now you need to remember this for the next videos and other things, but if you don't have DNA, you don't have a genetic code, you don't have basically the code, the carrier for life. Without this, you are not considered a living thing. The fourth characteristic, sorry, I was going to put TH, is you have to grow and develop. So this is pretty easy to remember because when you were born, you did not know as much as you know now. You have definitely grown since you were born. So you automatically grow and develop. Now say a rock. A rock is going to stay the same size. It's not going to get any smarter. It's not a living thing. The fifth characteristic is they must require energy, or they don't must, they just require energy. Um, when you require energy, we're talking about eating. You eat food to get energy, and how this works is through a process and um, a system of how your body works is a metabolism. When you eat, your metabolism breaks down all the food, and it's a chemical reaction process. Um, you will gain energy from all the food that you consume from your metabolism. Um, Also, when you sleep, you're regaining your energy. That's a process but there's different ways how this changes. Is there's different ways how you can acquire energy. The first one is called an autotroph, and this means they produce their own food. So they make their own food. So a good example of this would be plants. Plants make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. We're going to get into that in later videos. I just wanted to give you a example. And there's also heterotrophs, which is us, which we have to consume food. We don't make our own. So we have to eat plants, we eat animals, we eat other things that are supplied for us in order to live. And the third thing is there's decomposers. So decomposers eat dead material. So you can think of maggots, you can think of all that gross stuff when you think of a rotting body. Those are decomposers. They eat all of the dead material, and that's how we actually keep our world clean, and through a natural process. The sixth, let's use a different color. The sixth characteristic is we must respond to a stimulus. So what this means by that is when you poke someone, when you punch someone, when you talk to somebody, they're going to respond to you unless they're dead. They are going to react to what you are doing. So the stimulus would be saying hi to somebody, and they're going to say hi back. That's their reaction. They're responding to what you just said, which is a pretty important aspect of that. The seventh characteristic is you must maintain a stable environment, which also is the same as homeostasis. Homeostasis is really important, especially for humans, life, anything. It's super important because this is how we stay stable. This is how our bodies stay 98.7 degrees all the time. When we run, we sweat. If we didn't sweat, we would start breaking down. We would overheat. We wouldn't be able to survive. So homeostasis is a huge, important aspect into the characteristics of life, because without that, it would be much easier to die. And finally, the eighth characteristic is we must adapt and evolve. So when we say adapt and evolve, we mean that we have to be able to change to all the changes in our environment. If it's cold outside, we must be able to figure out that you have to stay warm in a cold environment. If it's a hot environment, we figure out how to stay cool in a cold environment. And we also have to be able to change our genetic coding through time, which is evolve, which is the shortened version of evolution. We'll get into that a little bit later in more videos, but I just wanted to give you the 8 characteristics of life, and we will see you next time.